Hello, everyone. Hi. I'm just letting everybody into the waiting room. I did that thing where I waited a little while so I could let you all in at once. You're so welcome. I'm already recording the masterclass for the people that want the replay. So just so you guys know, you're super welcome to have your camera on or off, whatever suits you today. It's Friday, so if your energy's low and you want your camera off, no problem. If you want to start introducing yourself in the chat, if you want to network amongst yourselves, if you want to tell everybody if you already have a Substack, what the URL is, or somewhere else people can find you online and what you do, that would be so lovely. Feel free. The chat is open to you for this whole call. The way that we'll run is we'll use the chat box for questions just because it'll be more efficient time-wise. So if you do have questions as I'm talking, I'll get to them at the end. And we'll also have time to talk at the end of the call as well. I'll make sure that we've got a good 10-15 minutes at the end of the call. But for now, I'll start by giving you a little bit of a tour of Substack, and then we're going to talk about what staying creative and being creative on the Substack platform is and how we can make it fit for our work and for our business in a content calendar that doesn't feel crazy. So for those of you who don't know me, hello, I'm Claire Venus. I am an engagement consultant and mentor, and I'm talking to you from my yoga studio and sort of makeshift office here in Northumberland. I'm on the Northumberland Coast in the UK. I've been using the Substack platform since April 2022, so coming up 2 years. I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of brilliant authors arrive to the platform and a huge big fanfare with all of that. It's been really, really brilliant. It is my work and my pleasure. I love spending time on Substack. I'm very, very passionate about it as a platform. So that'll come out in the call. And if there's anything that just seems like you want more information, more depth, you want me to demystify it, this is exactly what this call is for. I run a membership for people who want to stay creative on Substack over at Sparkle on Substack, which is one of my Substack publications. And I also run 2 other publications that I'll walk you through on the call, just to give you some insight into what Substack could be for you. But yes, for now, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let people know where you're joining us from. Let people know if you've got a Substack and what the URL is. And if not, you can share your website or your social media, whatever you'd like to do. And I'll go ahead and share my screen. I think that's all of us in now. I know there was quite a lot of people that were going to catch the replay, so it looks like we're about 20. If you need to leave early, you'll obviously get sent the replay. That's no problem. I'll get round to questions and I'll reply to you in my course platform, which is called Podia. So if you have a question and I miss it live on the call, I will get back to you, so don't worry. Okay, let's start. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Let's hope Zoom plays ball. It's always a wonder, isn't it, if it's going to, but I think we're going to. Okay, so I'm going to start over here. So this is my Substack publication that I've called Sparkle on Substack, which is a Substack teaching space. Now, it is a Substack publication. I do write here, and primarily we have to bring writing to Substack. Reason being is that Substack will not allow shops or service providers to just be on here and be selling products or services. You have to be bringing writing and creativity to Substack. So I have known people come on and there be a little bit of confusion around whether they can sell, and you can definitely sell what you're offering off platform, but you need to primarily be providing written content or audio content or written content. You need to be using the platform. So this is the platform that I use to teach Substack. So I do write here, I share a podcast, and I also share video. I share Zoom links behind a paywall, and I share video that people can watch and enjoy as well. So basically all forms of content on this space. So the way that you can set your Substack up is you get a website, so this has its own URL. This one is sparkleon.substack. And so you can choose either your name or a lovely whimsical name or a different type of name for your publication. And you have that URL. You can also have it pointed to a URL that you own. You can do that in the back office of Substack. I don't currently do that. Lots of different reasons that I won't go into today, but you do have that option. So this is your Substack website, and you can have some tabs along this navigation bar. So these are the tabs that I've chosen to have. You will have as standard the home feature, the archive feature, and your about page, but you can also add other things in here. This is a pinned post, so I have this as a nice big welcome to my publication. And then as we scroll down, you can see that these are kind of the thumbnails of things that I have posted about recently, and some of them have got titles to them. So Just to give you a little bit of an insight, if you've never seen the platform before, this is what it looks like on the desktop. There is also an app version. So if you like to read content on your phone, Substack is such a nice place to spend time. You can download the app, you can subscribe to your favorite writers, authors, creatives, and you can receive their content inside an app. You can also use a social media network called Notes, which is Substack's inbuilt social media network to network with colleagues and grow your publication that way as well. You don't have to have the app, but it is a different user experience than it is on the website. So that is Substack, a website for Sparkle on Substack. I'm going to take you behind the scenes and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Substack more generally once we've done that. So this is behind the scenes of a publication that I have called Company of Two. And I call this publication a slow grow community for mums. So over on Company of Two, myself and my colleague Laura record 4 podcasts a year, so 1 per season, and we sometimes have guest posts from other mothers who are also running creative businesses. So behind the scenes here is the most simple dashboard I can show you, because over on my other publications, obviously I've been doing them for 2 years, there's loads going on and I just want to strip it all back, but this is a relatively simple dashboard to show you. So over in your dashboard, you get to see how many subscribers you've got. So we have 258 subscribers. So this means email subscribers. So these are people that have given their email address to us to email them about everything to do with Company of Two. So we could send them an email right now and it would land into their inbox. We could also extract those subscribers' email addresses and take them with us to another platform if we wanted to import them into Flowdesk or MailChimp or another email service provider. We could do that, but they're all in there. The next one is telling us our 30-day views. Now, Laura and I haven't posted for a little while, so it's telling us our views have gone down. This is views in terms of it combines the open rate and what is seen within the Substack network as well. So Substack do like to roll out content within its network and suggest it to people, and they do that in a myriad of ways. But that is what that is. Those views are people landing on that post, either suggested by Substack or landing on our homepage for Company of Two and finding that. This is relatively new. I'm not that pleased about it, to be honest, but this is the amount of followers we have. So they've brought this kind of social network within to the Substack platform. And this is just telling me that we have 1.2 thousand people following Company of Two, which would mean if we did any notes or if they wanted to be receiving updates that way, then they could be receiving that in Substack notes. At the moment, it isn't super clear to me because I don't know how they are working that out, because when you do a note as a writer, it's your writer name that appears in notes. So I don't know whether it's combining myself and Laura or how it's worked it out, but I'm going to get some more information. They literally just put it live yesterday. And then we've got the open rate there as well. So because we've not sent out any new emails in the last 30 days, there's no open rate there, but that would obviously be there if there were. When we scroll down, we get a little bit of statistical information on the last post that we sent out. So it's telling us that it's had 779 views. And I think it's really important to show you, like, this is a slow grow community. We're not doing lots here at all. It's very, very gentle. And we've got 258 subscribers, but we've had 779 views on that post. A 44% open rate in email, and then we've had 33 new subscribers to that post. It's a very niche publication. People usually are mothers, either in the early years of motherhood or a little bit later on, or maybe just supportive of our work, but it's niche. So 33 free, and then 62 likes and 94 comments. I'll click into this post for you, just so you can see a little bit more of the statistical stuff. You can also see here the links that people have clicked and how many people clicked them, and then the traffic sources in terms of how people found that post. So it's telling me that 65% of people found it within the Substack app, and then 21% in email, and then the others are down there as well. So it does give you quite a bit of statistical information, and you can click through to have a look at a little bit more as well. there's loads and loads of statistical stuff that you can go into, especially if you're really into comparing how one post did against another. That can be really useful stuff. It'll give you a percentage of your engagement rate as well. If you've looked at statistics on other platforms like Instagram, you'll be used to seeing something like that. And then growth. So we haven't got paid subscriptions turned on here, but if we did, then you would be able to see a growth line charted here as well. So I'll go back to Company of Two so you can see the front of it. Really similar to Sparkle on Substack, but just more simple. So the website is relatively simple. And then we've got the podcast where people can click in and listen to our podcast episodes. And then into archive, which is everything we've ever posted. So we've got all of that there, which includes the guest posts and those sorts of bits and pieces. So if you come into Substack brand new and you start to subscribe to other people, you will quite quickly now, and I apologize for this, I don't work for Substack, but I do feel apologetic that it becomes very overwhelming very quickly. And I hear this a lot from my members. And so as we're coming to Substack new, one of the things that I'm super, super passionate about is getting really clear on what we're there to do before we start subscribing to lots of people. That said, I will show you some other Substackers and talk through how they have been using the platform and the type of approach that they have, just so you've got an indication of how other people are using it, as well as myself. So if I go over to the first one, this is Emma Gannon over at the Hyphen. Hopefully you'll be aware of Emma Gannon's work. She has written 6 books. She's a Sunday Times bestseller. She's one of the reasons I came to Substack. So when Emma spoke about it on Twitter/X, I was like, I'm curious, I'm interested. I'd really like to know more about Substack. So Emma posts consistently. She has a 6-figure Substack. She also mainly posts behind the paywall now. So she has paid for articles and content, not usually video, usually all articles, and that all lives behind a paywall and people pay to read our work. So Emma's Substack is called The Hyphen. And it's a community and like a beautiful magazine and a newsletter all rolled into one. She uses Substack to deliver her newsletter, which she did write on another platform for around 9 years, I think it was. Then we have Letters from Love with Elizabeth Gilbert. So you'll know Elizabeth Gilbert's work. She's an author, a bestseller. She's done a lot of brilliant work in the world. She is relatively new to Substack. I think she's been around for about 6 months. And I think she broke Substack when she arrived, to be honest. So she's doing her thing. She's got some interviews. She does bits and bobs of video. She does guest posts. There's loads going on. She's set her Substack up in a really interesting way. You know, she's got a book club there. She's got loads and loads going on. I haven't really explored that much of Liz's content actually, but I would really like to. This is my friend Russell over at the Author Stack. So his publication is in service of authors. So again, he's a best-selling author. He's also really, really into like comic book and the comic book genre, and other types of traditional publishing and non-traditional publishing. He just loves everything author and everything publishing. So he's got loads of different things going on here. He's got his fiction listed. So he gives you kind of a big introduction to all of the different fiction that he has. And then he's got lots of resources for authors as well. And he's got that big introduction to all of the different things that he does there. He does absolutely loads. And I wanted to show you all Russell's Author Stack, because he's done lots of thinking about navigation, about how best to hold subscribers through the process of subscribing to him. So when you go to manage your subscription on Russell's Substack, you can opt in and out of a lot of different topics. He gives you that option. It's kind of like advanced Substack, but I just wanted to mention that this looks very streamlined, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And he's got this really handy start here page where he tells you all about his life and himself and the different things he's doing, and lists lots of different things that you can read as well. I'll keep flying through because there's a few more I want to show you before I talk about Substack more generally. So this is Kate Escuri. So Kate runs a kind of, it's like a lifestyle blog. So if you remember the old kind of, a few years ago, those lifestyle blogs that became really popular, and those spaces that we would all hang out, like, well, I did, like Elephant Journal and those sorts of places where we could kind of go one-stop shop to kind of talk about all things well-being. That was Kate's space and here, and she calls it the Reset, and mostly it's for paid subscribers. So she again has a lot of content here, and she delivers in a lot of really, really interesting ways. She has a big community of highly engaged subscribers, and mostly now paywalls everything. She has a big reach on Instagram, and she's currently paused Instagram to focus in on this space. And the reason I wanted to mention that is I've seen that trend quite a lot over the last year, where people have said openly on Substack, I'm stopping Instagram, I'm giving it to my assistant, I'm giving it to my PR team, or I'm just not doing it at all. And I'm focusing in on Substack. And I think that's been a really interesting thing, that people have made that cultural shift to go, this is somewhere that I really want to spend time. This is Keris over at the Ladybird Purse. Keris talks about money. She's an author. She has a separate Substack for that. And she has this space to talk about money, and has lots of guest posts, some of which are free to read and some of which are paid to read. So really, really interesting. Again, a niche publication, which is why I wanted to show you what Keris is doing here. I'm really sorry if my video is freezing. It's freezing for me, but hopefully it's okay for you and you can hear okay. I'll just put my phone on airplane mode just to make sure it's not doing anything funky. Lastly, this is my friend Susie Walker. So Susie used to be the editor at Psychologies magazine, and she has arrived on Substack and is doing brilliant things. She's a fellow Northumberland dweller, and she offers 2 writing hours every single week. So those are on Zoom, 9 till 10 every single week, twice a week. And then she has like masterclasses once a month. So Susie offers a ton of value for her subscribers, and is building up this community slowly around the concept of heart leap and what it can be to do something that feels a bit terrifying but a bit exciting, and what that would look like. So her writing clubs are focused mainly around people who want to write books, who are writing their books, and that's a really supportive space, and one that I'm part of. But primarily they all look similar. We get given this format on Substack, and we can play around with it, and we can add bits and bobs of design in, but they all look relatively similar. You can't really break it. It's not like a WordPress site or a website. It's really easy to make it look cohesive and nice. You can change some colors and stuff, but yeah, you can't really make it look tricky. There's no adverts popping in. It's just a lovely, lovely, clean space. Okay, so let me just backtrack now. I've given you a whistle-stop tour of some people that are already writing on Substack and using the platform. I wanted to hear from you guys, and please use the chat box and let me know why you're curious, why you're here, what do you want to know about Substack? Are you thinking about starting a Substack? Have you heard certain things? Are you curious? Are you leaning in? What do you want to do? Perhaps you want to move your newsletter from another platform to Substack. What thoughts have you got? If you let me know in the chat as I keep talking, then we can make the best use of time. Just having a look at all of your introductions. It's so lovely to see so many familiar faces and so many new faces. You're so welcome. Brilliant. Yeah, what is your ambition for being here at this masterclass today, for being curious about Substack? What are you thinking it could be for you? While you're doing that, I'll just keep telling you a little bit more about Substack as a platform. So it was started in 2017 as a startup, and it was primarily a place for writers. So it was started as a place for writers to do great work and get paid for it. So the concept of having a newsletter and being a writer who wrote a newsletter was one of the main kind of first concepts that I came to and saw on Substack. There were lots of different categories everywhere from sort of health and well-being to crypto, faith and spirituality, literature, fiction. There are lots of categories of different types of people who want to write and came to Substack to write. Some of who turned on paid subscriptions straight away. Others who kind of used it as a really nice place to move then their free newsletter to and still deliver that to this day. Substack say that there are over 40 million readers using the Substack platform to read and around about 18,000 writers. Now, I think that must have gone up, but it's very difficult to get statistical information out of Substack. So I'm still trying, but that was the last official line that I got, 18,000 writers. I think it might be slightly more, but you can see that obviously there's a huge gap between how many people are reading and how many people are writing, which is why it's a brilliant time to start and grow a Substack. So I've been doing that for 2 years and it's gone incredibly well. I'm really enjoying being on the space and taking up space there. And I've seen lots of people come and be very, very creative on the platform. Around about a year ago, someone called Farah Store, who used to edit Elle magazine and now has a best-selling Substack herself and works for Substack. So she gets Substack salary and a salary through her Substack, talked about hosting community on Substack. And what we were seeing was lots of generosity of spirit around comments and around sharing people's work and sharing it off platform. But Farah was talking about building community behind the paywall, building community in the comments, holding people in a way where they felt like they could talk about a topic that was maybe quite complex or sophisticated or difficult, and they could be with other like-minded people, other sophisticated thinkers. And around that time, other people started to do the same thing and talk about it as a community space as well as a platform for great writing. Substack then started to introduce as they grew, and they have grown astronomically. You know, they asked for investment. It was around about a year ago from within the Substack network and outside as well. And lots of us invested into Substack and said, yeah, great. You know, we'd love to invest in what you're doing. And they then rolled out lots of new tools. They would call them tools for us writers, which was great. It's great. It's brilliant. There are a lot of them now. So there are a lot of decisions to make around what you want to bring to your Substack. Do you want to embed a podcast? Do you want to use audio? Do you want to use video? What are you doing with visuals? Do you want to do reader surveys, polls? Do you want to use notes? Do you want to start a chat with your subscribers? Do you want to start a thread with your subscribers? I'll demystify some of this some more, but there are lots of different spaces and lots of different tools. It doesn't mean that we have to use them all or indeed any of them. We can use it as a very simplistic newsletter platform. It's free to use. When you start paying for Substack is when you turn on paid subscriptions, and they take 10% of every single paid subscription. So if someone pays you £7 a month for your subscription on Substack or £70 a year, Substack are going to automatically take 10% of that. So really important to know, but also when you compare it to the way other mailing list service providers use their technology, you usually start paying, you pay from the off and you pay a monthly subscription, or you pay when you hit a certain number of subscribers. You can email as many subscribers as you want on Substack for free. So there's a real bonus there if you do want to move your mailing list over. Okay, let me check the chat. I'll just stop sharing my screen. No, actually, I'll leave it on just in case, because you might be asking me things and then I can just show you. Okay, good. Lots of questions. So John's saying I'm about to start and I'm trying to decide what to charge. Yeah, this is a really, really interesting area. I just delivered a workshop on money mindset yesterday, and I have a ton of resources around going paid, because I see it as a completely separate thing to talking to and nurturing my free subscribers, my email list. So I do think it is worth giving a lot of thought to, and we can learn as we go, but it's good to have some sort of kind of preparation around that. So Joe's saying, thinking of moving my newsletter from MailerLite, can I monetize it? Also a better understanding of Substack. Yeah, for sure. Yes. So yes, you can move it from MailerLite. You can just embed all of the email addresses in a CVS file. You upload it. I did it over on Creatively Conscious, which is an extension of my online platform. I use it more as a blog over there, but I do email stuff out as well. And it was really simple and easy to just upload that CVS file. Substack just clean it all and put it all in, and then you start emailing them from Substack. That's super easy. Claire says, I'm here because I like to create a place I can share my writing as an alternative to a personal blog and build a platform for books and work. That sounds perfect. So what you can do on the Substack platform is you can just simply post without emailing out. So then you get the traction of the Substack network, and you don't have to have that land in people's email inboxes if you don't want to. So you can use it purely as a blogging site if you want to. So Alison says, thinking about starting a Substack, but not to promote my existing business. I want to do something that was less restrictive and allows me to write on a wide range of subjects, topics, just because I love writing. I love that. So yeah, creative freedom is ours when we come to Substack, and we're not expecting it to do anything for us, which is what I did 2 years ago. I just wanted a space to write. I just wanted to write long form. I didn't really know what was going to come out. I didn't really know what it was going to be, but I thought, let's experiment. Let's just find a place to write long form, use Substack, play around with it, and the rest is history. But yes, it is brilliant for creative freedom. Trina's saying, is it possible to segment subscribers other than paid, non-paid sections? No. So that is one of the downsides in comparison to other mailing list providers that you would pay for. Substack allows you to email, but it's not a mailing list service provider. So you can segment in terms of, you can send everybody an email that doesn't post to your Substack website. You can send everybody a free email and everybody would get that, or you could segment and just send to paid subscribers, or you could segment and just send to founding members, which is like another level of a paid tier that Substack offer. There are other filters that we can use in the desktop version of the platform around filters. Some of those filters are around open rates, around how engaged somebody is. So Substack uses a star system, anyone from sort of 1 star right up to 5 stars. So you could, for example, email everybody who has 5 stars worth of engagement, so has read quite a lot of your Substacks. And there's lots that you can play around with in there, and you can understand more about your audience. What you can't do is say, oh, well, all of these people came to this thing, or all of these people read this particular article, or all of these people bought this product, like you would use another mailing service provider for. So you can be creative with it, and it works for me. So yeah, it's like working out what is it you want to say to who and why. Some people sort of asked me about, okay, but some of my clients are also in my mailing list, but then I want to talk in a more personal way. Like, I don't know, that doesn't feel quite right. And I suggested, and I think this is a really good thing to think about, having more of a client CRM and then using Substack so that you've got creative freedom and you've got space for personal expression, because there's a filter there, isn't there, on us if we're trying to make one piece of content be like okay and suitable for everybody that's ever subscribed to say that they're interested in our work. Something to think about, and something that we talk a lot about in Sparkle. So Joe's saying, I want to grow my email list. Yeah. So the growth engine within Substack is phenomenal. I grow by, it's about 600 subscribers every month. Sorry, somebody's just not on mute. If you could just check, I'll just have a little check, see if I could see, just for the recording. So yeah, I grow by about 600 subscribers every month, and that is a cumulative effect. So because I use Substack's recommendations feature, because I'm active on notes, because my work is valued and people share it, that is all cumulative and possible within the Substack network. When I first started, I was sort of growing maybe like a handful of subscribers every month. And then it was like, okay, like maybe it's a few more, maybe it's a few more. And then it just started to go astronomical. And I've just been on that curve since. So I would say when it started to really ramp up was probably about 8 months ago, and it just hasn't slowed down. It just goes, yeah, it's just like a big snowball effect, and it's amazing. I'm sure there will be like dips within that, and there are times, obviously, we all know that more people are online. So over Christmas, I saw, huge influx of new free subscribers, and that was really lovely. I also got more paid subscribers, I guess, because people had some time over the holidays to digest that content. So yeah, all possible to grow. And then move your list if you want to move your list. So the whole community vibe aspect of Substack, and so wondered over to follow friends and fellow creatives here to have my mind expanded about possibilities. Oh, thanks, Callie. Yes, that's lovely. And I think we end up with a bit of an echo chamber. We can only subscribe to so many newsletters and so much content. So if we're in this really warm and inviting space and we're enjoying it, that's great, isn't it? And if we feel we need more of that, maybe we need to kind of unsubscribe to some others and kind of find those communities. So there's lots of option there. Amber's saying, now my paywall is established. Well done, Amber. I wanted to grow it whilst remaining true to its intention to take others on a journey towards living a fully expressed life. Beautiful. So Lovely to hear about that. And what I'd say on the paywall is Substack say anywhere between 3 and 10% of your overall subscribers are going to convert to paid. What's normal is between 1 and 10%. They say sort of 3 to 10% is good, and that's what they would kind of expect and hope for us. So when we know that, we can start to see not only what's happening as we grow, but also to try and kind of keep that curve running steady alongside the free subscribers that are coming in. There are lots of reasons why that might fluctuate, and there are lots of opportunities for us to get better at business within Substack. So to get better at saying, I have a paywall and this is what happens behind it. I have a membership and this is what happens behind it. This is what I'm offering. And that's all a practice. It's all a creative practice. So Juliet says, mainly about moving my business one over to Substack, having enjoyed the personal Substack side. What are the benefits of doing that, and how do you need to speak about that business to avoid breaking the rules? Yeah. Also, mine is very informal, chatty space with nice nature images and focuses on well-being, I'd say. Yeah. So just that disclaimer at the beginning, it's just really about making sure that that you're leading with the writing, or you're leading with the creative content, and it's not just a sales email. We know the difference, don't we? Like, I've got a masterclass on sale, please buy it. And then the next email is the same, and the next email after that. So I am just really cautious. But I mean, I've been doing that for 2 years, and I do tell people what I've got for sale. Like, I told people that I had this for sale. So it's totally possible. I think it just must be a balance thing. And then obviously, a red flag. You can email Substack, and I have seen this. They've got like a terms of reference around what the platform's for, and they've possibly updated that since the last time. What happened was one of my friends and my VA started a VA specific account for Substack, and she had it all kind of laid out how people could work with her as a VA, and that just got took down straight away. But it's fine for her to talk about our VA services within our main Substack, just not to have a separate Substack around service providing. I hope that helps. Great, welcome, Gemma. Claire's brand new, feels nicer than social media. Oh yeah, for sure. So Trina's saying, if I move my newsletter to Substack, will my readers also start receiving emails from Substack as well as my email from Substack? Can you explain the difference between notes and comments? Thank you. I will. I don't know how Substack will talk to your subscribers. When one of your subscribers clicks into something to comment, they then are prompted to set up a Substack account, and then they have a Substack account. And I have seen this in other spaces where people are like, I don't know how I've signed up for this. I didn't mean to. So I think our job as creators on the platform, as writers on the platform, is to try and explain and hold people that we use Substack for our newsletter, the providing of our newsletter, and Substack is X, Y, and Z, if anybody's interested. It's not really our job, is it, to like undo somebody signing themselves up to Substack? Like, if they end up doing that, like they've consciously gone on and done it, and then Substack will send them emails because they've subscribed to Substack by doing that. But yeah, I'm not sure entirely how that works. I mean, I don't get inundated with emails from Substack. I get a couple a month. But I know that some people somehow have ended up where they've got more, and that might just be the way they've signed up. So yeah, and I will explain the difference between notes, comment, chat, all of that in this masterclass for sure. Okay, I could just keep going. I'm going to give you guys something to do, and then I'm going to read this while you're doing an exercise and come back to you. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you feel you might just bring to the page. So what do you want to bring to the page of your Substack? So if you're already on there, totally fine. If you're not, and you're thinking, okay, what is it I want to bring to the page? Is it a blog post? Is it an about me? Is it an email newsletter? What is it? What is that piece of content? And then just do some journaling about that for yourself. If you're already writing on Substack, I would say the question is, what would you like to enhance about how you're using Substack? So let me put that in the chat for you. And then you can be having a little bit of a journal on this question. There we go. Done. So I'll give you a few minutes. I'm just going to read through these while you do. Okay, if you have got anything that you'd like to put in the chat around what's come up for you in that exercise, feel free and do carry on. I'm just going to speak to a couple of the points that were in the chat before we move us on. So people are asking about, I'm just going to change the view actually because I've somehow got, there we go. People were asking about illustrators specifically being on Substack, and yes, there are a lot of illustrators, which is really, really beautiful and a nice space to spend time. When we talk about there being a lot of illustrators comparatively, you know, it's a relatively new space, and so in terms of the art and illustration category on Substack, it's still not that many illustrators, and there are not that many that are publishing really, really frequently. The content around how you are using Substack and how you're growing your Substack and how it's all feeling always does relatively well on the Substack platform. I think Substack are quite narcissistic. They like it when we talk about Substack and our growth on Substack, and they like it when we mention Substack as a word. So those posts do quite well, and people are always really fascinated with other people's journeys. So it can be really interesting to hop on and see how it feels, because a lot of the time we are investigating and interrogating how we feel. So when people were using Patreon, and a lot of people from Patreon have ended up on Substack, people felt that it was mainly them supporting each other and a few people outside of that. They don't have that same feeling on Substack, so they feel like their art form crosses over to more people who are just genuinely interested in them, their creative process, what they're doing, and willing to pay. There isn't the same sort of money barrier on Substack that there was on Patreon. This is what people are telling me, and it just feels easier. That said, it can feel a lot of pressure to paywall anything. It can feel a lot of pressure to perform in a certain way or to hold people in a certain way behind the paywall. So it has to feel right to us and it has to feel good. And some people simply run a Substack that is a space where people can contribute financially towards them and their work, but there's nothing paywalled. So you can set it up that way. So you can set up your monthly, your annual, and your founding member and never paywall a thing, and you will still have people support your work. Obviously depending on who you are and how you ask. But Simon Hazel over at Footnotes and Tangents runs a slow read along, and he does a couple of books, but my husband's joined in with a read along that is War and Peace. So they read a chapter of War and Peace every single day. Nothing's paywalled, and he's got thousands of paid subscribers supporting him to do that work. He's really interesting to talk to. I find him really interesting to talk to, but I also really love seeing that project thrive. It just feels very, very exciting. People that probably never would have got round to reading War and Peace in their life are now in a community of people that are reading War and Peace. Just really cool. Okay, let's see what you guys found out as you were doing a little bit of journaling there, see what came up for you. Lovely. Yeah. So the niche question is a really good one, Alison. I think that we've learned a lot, haven't we, around other ways online and grabbing people's attention. We don't need to do that in the same way on Substack. We can be a nuanced and deep human, and we can bring all of ourselves or however much of ourselves to our publication that we want. However, at the moment, if you do start something that is relatively specific and people get it and people like it, then you're going to grow quicker because people just recognize that it's for them. So a lot of the one-to-one work that I do in the audits, people have just made it very confusing to understand if something is for them unnecessarily. You know, it's just self-expression and it's part of it. But titles that are confusing, words that maybe might be off-putting, images that are a little bit sort of verging on trauma. You know, it's like we've got to be so careful. People's nervous systems are just overrun. We've got to be really careful with what we're trying to hook them into. We've got to build up trust. And so one of the ways with having a publication that says exactly what it is and exactly what it's there to do and being really clear on our about pages, it just helps, you know, it helps people to go, yeah, I'm into that. And it also helps Substack to recommend you within a framework of other people that write on a similar topic or write under a similar category as well. So it's definitely worth thinking about. I think I'm so passionate about self-expression and about our creative practice and process. I would never say to anybody, just start a niche on X because it's not there yet and you'll grow, because you might get bored of that or it might not be very fulfilling. So I think always come into it with what you want to write about and why, and then thinking about how it fits outside of Substack into the wider work that you do. Yeah, it is interesting about Patreon, isn't it, Libby? Yes. So Amber's saying, I want to speak to the person who may want to deepen their readership experience and journey with me in a non-salesy way, yet in a way that they can easily see what's open and available to them if they choose to explore more. Yeah, so it's that invitation, isn't it? So what's been really interesting about the business of Substack, because we can make money on there, is people have found lots of ways around how to invite people in to work behind a paywall. So we can talk about that more, like if that's where you guys want to go today, I'm totally open to it. But I do want to just show you, and we'll jump over and I'll just show you what we can do within a Substack post first. I think with anything paywalled, it's coming back to that percentage and knowing that there are a certain percentage, and some people will have on the higher end, so the 10% of people that want to go deeper and want to join whatever it is we're offering, whether that's comments in posts in a community, Zoom classes, replays, audio stuff, whatever it is. Other people just pay to support people's work. Like seriously, that's what they do. You know, they have no expectations. So it's important that when we're setting out what we want to offer and what we think that we can offer, that we don't overpromise. Like that's a big, big thing. It's important that we take into consideration around our own boundaries, when we're going to be online, when we're not, when we're going to have downtime, when we're going to have time off, and think about it, because subscriptions are infinite. Like it's wild. They're infinite. They're forever until someone cancels. So, you know, that's fair enough, isn't it, when it comes to like Netflix and Disney Plus? But when it comes to us, one human writing a Substack, writing a publication, it's quite mind-blowing to think, I've turned it on now, that's it, forever. Or is it? You know, I don't know. But anyway, I thought that is my like literally statement of the week. Subscriptions are infinite. Okay, let's go. You guys keep chatting. Let's go back over to Substack, and I'm gonna show you into how to write a post. Sorry, it just take a couple of seconds. So back in the back office, and I had a really sensible question about what you can do in the app. The app is for reading and commenting and chatting. It isn't for publication stuff. So you can't access any of this stuff in the app. It's an app for readers primarily, and then commenters, people that want to chat about a particular piece, or in Substack's version of WhatsApp, I like to call it the chat space. On the desktop, this is where we do the work. You can open it on Google Chrome in your phone or Safari. There are some bits where it'll get a little bit clunky, and some of their kind of pop-ups will cover some of the stuff that you're trying to do. So it doesn't always work, but it works relatively well. But yeah, ideally desktop is what you need. So we're here, we're going to start a new post. Now, when we go into here, we've got the option to do a post, a note, a thread, an audio, or a video. How wonderful. We'll just tick post for now. And then we've got an option to edit our email header and footer. What that means is if you're sending an email out, everybody that receives that in email, you can say the same things in your email header and footer every single time. So you edit it once and you leave it as is. So it might be an introduction to you and who you are. It might be an encouragement to subscribe, behind the paywall. It could be anything. It could be promoting a new book you've got, promoting a new show you've got, anything you want, but that is going to stay there permanently unless you edit it. So you write your title, help if I could spell, and then a subtitle if you want. You can take the author name off. I always advise leaving it on because sometimes people end up subscribed to things and they're like, what's this again? So I always think good to leave the author name on, and you can add a second author as well. So if I was sending this out from Laura and I, which I usually do, then I would add Laura's name as well. And then we would just type as normal in here. And then we have all sorts of options in terms of what we can do within the post. So even though we haven't started an audio or a video post, we can choose to put some video in here. That's an option. So we would upload it, or we could actually record it directly into Substack. And you can play around with that. It's not going to get sent anywhere. You get a lot of notice before it goes out into the world. So you've got that. You've also got this space here where you can add a voiceover to the post. So you might want to read your post aloud for your readers and subscribers. You might want to embed an audio. You can do that here. And this is all from just post. We haven't gone into any of those other things. So we've got that option. And then we can upload an image or a gallery of image, or we can use the Unsplash library and we can search. So say if we just wanted to search for the word joy, let's see what comes up here. Okay, we're going to just pick this lovely joyful image, and then we can click on it and we can make it slightly smaller, and we can edit the caption. So I always leave the photo credit on because that's someone's work, but if it was our image that we'd uploaded, we might want to give that a caption and tell people about why we put that image in or what that image is. So you've got an option there as well. This is the link function. So if you wanted to link to something else online, you could do that. You could just paste the link in there. My Substack class has gone in. So that's really easy to do as well. And then over in style, you've got normal text and your headings as you would expect in any sort of publisher mailing list or blog. So you can play around with your style and what feels good to you. I always use heading 4. I just like it. Like literally you can do what you want, can't you? So that's what I do when I'm doing a heading. I like the size of heading 4, and it feels easy to me. Anything where I don't have to make decisions is helpful because I'm going to get my work out rather than just like trying to decide, oh, was I on heading 1, 2, 3? Where did it go? And then you've got bold, italic as well there. This little button here is to do a quote. So you can pop a quote in and do it as a block quote. So it will come out like that, or you could turn that off and then do a pull quote, and then it goes in like that. So I like to do that to kind of break up my articles, especially if they're getting long. If they are getting long, Substack will say, and put a little pop-up to say some email inboxes won't allow for this length, and all you need to do is write a little note to remind people to read on the Substack website. So I think it's Google Mail that has a cut-off and it's truncated, so Substack will just tell you that, but I tend to mostly ignore it, to be honest. You can get quite a lot of words in. It's quite good to use for word count. You've got bullet points, numbered or indented there that you can use, and this is all in the same post. And then over in your buttons, you've got your subscribe now button, which if you have paywall turned on, turns into upgrade to paid. So those words will just turn to that, whoever's looking at it. So if it's a free subscriber, they're going to see upgrade to paid. If it's not a subscriber, they'll see subscribe now. And we've got a few different options with the buttons here now. I could ask somebody to message me. Substack introduced DMs last week or the week before. So we've got the DM option. There's all sorts of things that we can do. When you are moving a mailing list over and you want to encourage community, the get the app button is good. You know, you're saying there's an app, we can chat in there, you know, get the app, all of that sort of stuff, use it, have a nice time. So there's a few different things, knowing that it's just good practice not to give people too many options. So, you know, 1 call to action is best, 2 is okay. If we're getting into 3, 4, and 5, people don't know whether to leave a comment, subscribe, get the app, click. They just don't know. It's just too overwhelming. So keeping it nice and simple is always my advice. Is a good thing to do. I'll not go through all of the buttons because we're short on time today, but obviously they're there. You can use them. Over on this side is where we find the paywall, and so I just need to click off that so that I can put a paywall in and show you. Oh, bizarre. Where's it gone? Why is it not letting me do that? Very strange. I don't know. Ordinarily, I would just press that paywall button, but I've obviously upset Substack somehow. Okay, well, we'll just leave it for now. It's very, oh, because I'm on company of 2. I've just worked it out. Sorry, guys. So because I haven't got paid switched on, I can't insert a paywall. But if I could insert a paywall, that would be how I would do it. And then we press the continue button. Before we do that, we can go into preview and we can send ourselves a test to our email address, or we can send the draft link to somebody like a colleague. So I use this for Laura a lot and say, I've written it. Do you want to add your pieces in? What do you think? We can see how free subscribers and paid subscribers, if we've got it switched on, would see it. We can see it in email, which is going to show us the headers and the footers that I mentioned. So here's our header. Magically, if we go back into website, it's not there, no header. And the footer will be there as well in email. It also shows you what it looks like in mobile and on the desktop. You don't have to worry the same way that we had to worry with MailChimp, where everything was just veering off to the side on some sort of drunken walk home. Like, it just doesn't happen. It's just very clean, very streamlined, very well organized. There's been very few posts that have gone out where I've gone, oh, like I've missed a gap or I've missed a line or something's happened there. Like, it just doesn't happen. It's all we can trust it. We can trust it to do exactly what we've done in the design phase. And then it's going to give us this desktop. My husband always makes me read his when he wants me to edit them and like sense check them. He always gives me it like this. And I'm like, no, I need to be out of this. I need to be in the space where I can edit. So you can use those tools. Then in continue, this is where we get the option to send it to everyone or to paid subscribers. But obviously we'd have to have that turned on. And then we can allow comments from no one, which will just mean that there isn't a space for people to comment. If we chose that box, we can add tags, which is like it's like a magnet to a URL. So say if I wanted to start a motherhood tag there, I'll just put that in actually. Yeah, that was something that we did ages ago. I'll take that off. I'll just do this for you so you can see. So yeah, it's going to let me do it. So say if I tag this company of 2 and I went back and tagged a few other posts, company of 2, then I would get a URL that is like a collection of posts, if you like. So if I was like writing to a client and I wanted to say, oh, you can see some of my recent work here, I've written about the process here. So say there's something like that. And then you can send that URL off to them and they'll get all of those listed, which is a really, really useful feature. I'm glad that they rolled that one out. And then we've got the option of sending via email and the Substack app, scheduling, or unticking this. And if we untick the delivery box, it's going to go out as a blog piece. So it's going to just get published to the Substack website and it's not going to be emailed out. sometimes that can feel nice, you know, it can just feel less exposing. Sometimes you want to send us less emails. Sometimes you just want to play around and see what you're doing here and kind of edit things and do it that way. So you've got that option there. So obviously we've got the scheduling tool. We can schedule it to go out whenever we want, and that's all good. You can change your social preview here. If you wanted to change the way that this was displayed, you've got some options to play around with that. But let me cancel that so I don't accidentally email anybody. Just to go back to the publication, I just want to show you if you felt like, oh, I've missed something or I want to edit something, you go back onto your Substack website and you just use this button and you can edit that post there. So if you've already published it, if not, and you haven't published it, it will simply be over here. Sorry, my slow internet. It's always when it starts being a bit stormy. So it would just be in your post drafts here. If you've scheduled it and you want to check when you've scheduled it for, then it would be there. And then that's everything that you've published. You can unpublish, you can edit, all by using the 3 buttons here. You also get these really wonderful shareable images for socials, which I think just saves a lot of headspace and a lot of time, and they work relatively well for me. I've used them quite a lot on Instagram when I am on Instagram. So they've given us some Instagram story templates and some Instagram grid post templates, and these will all be set up in the color palette that you've set up for your Substack. So you can change that in your settings. But you've got some options to download those and then simply upload them to your socials if you wanted to try and encourage people to click over and use them. Yeah. So that's just a little bit of a catch-all with posts. I know I've rattled through it, but obviously you guys get the replay, so you can kind of stop and start and kind of work things through. And I'm obviously pitching this masterclass to people who are already writing on Substack as well. So I just wanted to make sure that I was covering everything off. Let me go back to the chat box, and then I'm going to give you one more thing to do before we finish. Okay. Great. Let me just give you one more thing to do, and I'm going to try and get back to these while you're doing that work. I wanted to talk to you about where you are already publishing online. So say if you've got a Facebook page that you look after and an Instagram account, or you're very active on LinkedIn, or you already send an email, I want you to try and list out everywhere that you're visible online and what you think the purpose of that is. And I also want you to write Substack in that list and just let me know if there's anything around breakthroughs. It's been a very, very fast-paced class, but there might be some things bubbling up for you, or there might be some points of confusion that I can talk to in the end of the masterclass. So everywhere that you're currently online, I'll write this in the chat, and what that does for you, for your self-expression, business, whatever it is. Um, Okay, so I've answered a few questions in the chat. I know there are so many questions. There's so much bubbles up for us all individually. And I really want to honor that because it's huge, isn't it? There's so much to think about. But let me know if there was anything with Substack specifically where you were like, yes, that's what my Substack's for, or is my Substack for that? Can I do that on Substack? And I can speak to those points just before we finish. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Substack's inbuilt social media network Notes and how good it is for growing your presence on Substack and within the Substack network. So it is mainly our creative colleagues. So writer colleagues, creative colleagues, authors, illustrators, creatives are on there chatting most days. You can mute topics that you're not interested in. So if you don't want to hear about American politics, there's a lot of American politics on Substack. You don't have to see any of it. So you can mute that stuff and you can join in with chats and conversations. I host two kind of critical friend sessions every month over on Sparkle on Substack, specifically around Substack Notes to try and increase people's engagement on Notes and increase how people are kind of showing up there and talking to their colleagues and joining in with conversations. And they go really, really well. I think it's just always that fear of like tumbleweed and like putting something out and not getting any engagement or not getting any likes. And so I'm constantly like innovating it and supporting people and helping people to reach more people. Anything to do with an invitation to a wider community works well on Notes. Anything with an invitation to a wider community on our Substack publication works well. So for example, I have an intro post. So I sent it out as a post and I said, have you got time for a cuppa? Let's introduce ourselves. Tell us why you came to Substack, what it's all meaning for you ages ago. And like loads of people still find that thread. So it goes out in my welcome email. So there are these things that you can do to try and encourage community and encourage conversation, which is my deep passion. Like I want to be connected to more people at a deeper level, not more people generally. Like the internet can have all the people. I just want to connect on a much deeper level and I want to help people with creative expression. So that's the way that I set things up. In terms of the content flow and everything else that we're doing online, I'm so passionate about giving ourselves space and time and growing in a joyful, sustainable way. So I've made a little PDF worksheet to kind of give you guys to follow up with some of this around some of the things that I've spoken about. So around notes, around scrolling, reading, posting, scheduling, writing, to really start to think about, okay, if I come to Substack and want to use it over the course of a week, what am I doing on what day and why? Yeah, and I think if you are spending a long time on other social media platforms, my biggest advice to wrap your head around Substack is just to delete them for a little time. You know, I deleted Instagram for like long periods of time last year, and my Substack just massively took off, and I got really clear about what I was doing there. So yeah, we can all come to it as we want, can't we? But I think because it's so noisy being online and it's so distracting, I think we'll have to be really clear on what the purpose is for us. And if we are keen to pivot and have a newsletter business and have a Substack business within that as our membership and we're growing all that, then we need to give it some attention. So I will send you that after this call. But yeah, let me know. Is there other questions and stuff that you'd like me to answer? Is there anything you want me to circle back to? We're going to finish about 1:15, so we've got some time. So Amber was saying about the tags. So it's basically just, and you can change the name, you can edit the name of a tag, try and get it right first time because it's a bit of a faff, but you can do it. It's just anywhere where you want to group topics and you think that you're going to want to send that URL out again somewhere. So mine over on Sparkle are around Substack growth because that's a really popular topic and lots of people want to come to that space. So anything that I think is an article that specifically relates to growth, I have a tag for that. And then I have that on the homepage where people can click through them. So we can arrange them on our homepage. And that can be really useful, especially for people finding us for the first time or people who really like our work and want to go back into the archives. It can really help if we talk about lots of topics as well, like Russell, who I mentioned, whereby everything is organized. So people don't have to have like his fiction with his comic book stuff, with his author growth stuff, with his guest interview stuff. It's just a whole load of someone's brain, isn't it? So we can like gently guide people. There is something called sections as well. And I've got a whole workshop on the difference between sections and tags, but just briefly for you guys, a section was set up so you could have a separate newsletter within a newsletter. So if you were talking about design, but you also wanted to talk about poodles, you would have a section, because some people might not like poodles. These are really extreme examples. I just picked poodles. I've not seen poodles for ages. It's really random that I picked poodles, but I did. Okay, so Julia, do you notice when you have more than one Substack that people cross over, and do Substack help with that in the algorithm? Yeah. So there's two reasons why I have multiple Substacks. One, for a company of two, we wanted to start a podcast. It's free hosting on Substack. So it was like, well, we both know Substack. We both like Substack. Let's start a podcast on Substack that also has the ability to have a community attached to it. It's like a long-term project for Laura and I. So that's what that is. And it just feels really clear that we do it that way. With Creatively Conscious, it's the blog that plugs into my work. And it's also a space where I'm free to experiment, and I'm not being in that Substack education space that has growth attached to it in a different way. So it's a slower growth space. It's a space for me to experiment. It's a space that I can tell some of the Sparkle Gang about and say, I do this over here. I've got a workshop coming up. But for me, it's about holistic and wholehearted business, slow live family life, writing my memoir, playing around with my writer voice, you know, and feeling like I can do that there. I can talk about my creative projects, basically anything. It's like a magazine of what I want to talk about on the internet, basically. And I can't do that on Sparkle because it's a niche publication for Substack education. So for me, it makes complete sense to have the three. Substack don't recommend that you have three, but I think you can see clearly why it makes complete sense for me. And the only reason that they say don't have more than one is that you're going to be in competition with yourself, and you can actually house it very sophisticatedly and easily under one platform. I didn't feel I could do that, and I also wanted the evidence to bring to the Sparkle Gang around how I was using Substack as a writer away from Substack education. It didn't make sense for me to host Substack education off Substack, like it works on there, so that's why. Hopefully that explains it. Claire says, can I ask a quick one? Do most of your new subs come through Substack or outside sources? All Substack. All Substack. So in the beginning, I think I've got about 3,500 followers on Instagram, and I was putting it out a little bit on LinkedIn, and I still do now and again, but no, it's all through Substack. There'll be very few people like find me, and you can see that in your statistics. You can see exactly how many people and the way that they filtered in. So this is one of the reasons that I ditched Instagram, because I was sharing my work on Substack and finding innovative ways to sort of beat the algorithm, to say, I'm here, I'm writing, and I know only 5% of you are seeing it, but I'm here. And it's like completely yin and yang, you know, you get to speak to everybody in your inbox and they come and chat with you, versus Instagram, I was posting and like nobody was really even seeing it, never mind like being able to like it or invest time in it. There's something around the way that social media, and especially video, like lassos our nervous system and gets a hold of us, that wants us to like scroll and move really quickly. And Substack doesn't do that, although Notes does do that a little bit. But Substack on the whole doesn't do that. So Amber says, how do you set up a URL? It's in your settings. I don't think it's strictly necessary to do it. I like having the Substack URLs. You can do it. People tend to do it when they're like, this is my main place online. I'm not going to have a website. I'm going to list everything that there is here. It makes sense for this to be the website URL. I think Substack charge you £50 maybe to do it, or $50 to do it. Russell's done it. I've not done it. Libby says, assume weekly posts are the most successful rhythm, monthly okay to begin with. It's really interesting. Good writing does really, really well on Substack. It doesn't matter whether you're posting weekly, monthly, or less than that. You can post seasonally, you can do whatever you want. What happens with weekly is your subscribers build up an understanding and impression of who you are. They get to know you on a deeper level. They get to read more of your work. If they've missed one, they might catch that one. There's a familiarity in that. So my friend Molly that I've just had on the podcast, she does have a big online platform somewhere else, but she became Substack bestseller as soon as she turned on paid subscriptions. She'd written for a year, every single Monday for free. Then she turned on paid subscriptions and she instantly hit 100 paid subscribers and has a lot more than that now. People were just ready to support her. There are some people that are paywalling everything and making that decision, people that have written on the internet for a long time, authors. you have to be discerning about what feels good to you. Like I feel sometimes when I'm writing a piece that this is for paid, and then when I've written it, I'm like, no, I'm comfortable with more eyes seeing it, and that's fine. Other times I know exactly, okay, this is a piece of free content that I hope would convert people into paid, or this is a piece of paid content that is a really, really deep and vulnerable share, and I want to have it in that way. So yeah, you can decide. Joe says, can I ask, I want to ask what other platforms you use to run an online business. Did you mention Podia? What other platforms complement Substack? Yeah, and I think this is unique to all of us. So if I had discovered Substack before I'd started paying for Podia, I don't think I would still be paying for Podia, but I've built a lot. I've built a lot on it now. So it's my online course platform. It's similar to Kajabi. If you guys have ever like logged into Kajabi or Teachable, or if you've used those, it's similar to that. And the reason that I still keep it is that obviously I can see who has purchased what products from me, and I can email them. And my website is built on Podia, so it's like my whole website. So I couldn't really fathom another way. I would have had to like commission a website somewhere else and then use Substack as a blog. But at the time, that's what I found worked for me. And so I've got both. And I think sometimes with business investment and business expense, it just saves a lot of headaches. Like I pay for something called Cast Magic as well, which really helps me with audio transcription and helps me to try and like decipher what were the like key nuggets of the conversation. And that just makes me work more efficiently and means that I feel like I've got like a second brain, and it's relatively expensive to buy it, but it's so worth it. Like for me, it's just like having an assistant. It's great. So yeah, Instagram, I'm on there at the minute because I've been promoting this and I feel quite playful around reels, but I'm really just, yeah, I'm really just all in on Substack. Substack is the one. So Amber says, which platform would you use for what you put Podia on? You have now Substack. So because you can put Zoom links behind a paywall, that's what I would have done. So when I was first building up on Podia, I didn't have a way of doing that made sense. And so I wanted to use Podia for that. And I also wanted to build online courses. I've learned that as an educator, I don't love online courses. Like it's just not my thing. Like it's not my wheelhouse. I love masterclasses. I love being with people. I love holding people through space holding. And in online classes, I feel like I've written something and recorded something, and then it'll change and I'll want to say something different, or Substack will have introduced something new. For example, I made a Substack course last year. So yeah, I like the live stuff. So I can do most of that via Substack now. So I think it really does give us some amazing tools to play with. So Sue says, what's your thoughts on sitting your community and work on an external platform that you don't own or control? So for me, and I do think this is a valid question, I have no fear around it. I trust Substack because I've been there 2 years. I don't work for them. Like I say, I don't get any commission. I've been on a lot of platforms. I've seen a lot of the internet develop the way that it has. If someone pulled the plug on Substack tomorrow, I would have all of my email subscribers downloaded, and I've got Podia. I could build a community on Podia. I like using it. It's easy to use. It's easy to grow. It's easy to meet people. I've had such brilliant conversations on there, and I've had such brilliant connections with colleagues. And mostly I'll do like I've got a LinkedIn group as well that is primarily for people writing and creating on Substack. So they're there. I've also do an Instagram shout out every now and again and say, does anyone want to like connect on Instagram? This is my account. And that always gets tons and tons of traction. So then I'll like follow and connect people there. Before Substack introduced the direct message function, it was really nice to be able to find people on Instagram. I like using voice notes, so that's been really handy to like build that bridge with colleagues. And you can't voice note via Substack yet. I'll probably bring it in, but you can just message on DM. I have my DMs set to paid only because, again, I just want to deepen my connection with my paid community and I want to offer them the most amount of my support. I'm only one person, but yeah, I have zero fears around it. In a masterclass a couple of months ago, someone said, you know, it just sounds too good to be true. Yeah, but I mean, I've been doing it for 2 years. Like, I feel like every day, guys, I love it. I absolutely love this work. I love being able to build community. I love being able to have conversation. It's my work and my pleasure. I have a great time. And that's why I wanted to put this masterclass out into the world a year after the first one that I delivered. You're so welcome. Can you host online courses on Substack? Yes. There's a workaround. It would be around posting, but not emailing out, and creating a section or a tag and then pointing people in the direction of that. So in some of the more advanced Substack that I talk about in Sparkle, I'm nurturing people and nourishing that kind of way of being to try and move people through a Substack publication in the back office. So for the product that I have that is called Substack 0 to 10K, I was building that so there was a set of resources and an accountability thread on Substack, but nobody on Substack knew I was doing that. I just did that and I sent it to those people and I said, this is where you find it. And now I've started bringing more of that content in so people can cross over. But yeah, there's loads of ways. It's basically like a big piece of paper and a pen and try and kind of map it all out. And if you get stuck, give me a shout. Okay, I am gonna let you guys go. It's been amazing to spend time with you. I'm over at Sparkle on Substack if you need anything. This replay will be on Podia with the PDF that I mentioned, which is really just about how you want to use it as a mailing list, a blog, a membership, video, audio. You can map all that stuff out, and it's going to be suggesting some things that you might want to like to come and try. Don't go on there and subscribe to loads of people. Please don't do that. If you're brand new, give yourself a break. There's time for all of that. Like, just come to it, maybe to subscribe to like 2 people that you love and that you know aren't going to trigger any blocks, and enjoy that. And create for you, have a nice time, see how it feels. I didn't move my mailing list in until I'd been writing on there for about 8 months, and it felt like the right time. So, we've all got time, haven't we? We've got time to fathom it out. Yeah, thanks again, and I will see you on another call hopefully soon. Please let me know if you need anything further. I can send you some resources. I can help you. But thanks for being here today. I appreciate you all. Bye.